Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trek Canon. So, today we're going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 9 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds for those who wander. Now, we're getting down to the last couple of episodes of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and I told you guys a few videos ago that based on just the first 8, 9 episodes, if I was to compare them to any other first 9 episodes from any of the other Star Trek franchises, Strange New Worlds, hands down above the rest. And that's saying a lot. Um, so, in this particular episode, we go again into, oh yeah, spoilers. Let me just begin this episode right now by saying spoilers. It's going to be spoilers included in this, so if you haven't seen that particular episode 1-9 of Strange New Worlds, stop this video, go back and check it out. But for people who watch my channel, y'all know how I roll with the spoilers. So let's just talk about the episode, man. So here we go. We come up along this planet, man, and basically we have to leave an away team because the main ship has to go. The Enterprise has to continue on and do some things. Now, there's been times in Star Trek, many times, where this has been the case. One of the ones that come to mind is the Next Generation episode where we found out that you can do a beam in at near warp, all right? And that's when they found Data's, I believe, step granddad or stepdad of this guy. So anyway, it's not a problem. It's not something that doesn't happen in Trek. We get an away team mission. We got a away team episode going on today. Now, basically, they beamed down to this Constitution class vessel that's landed on the planet, crashed on the planet and everything like that. It's a really cold world. Look, this always trips me out in movies, series, whatever. If your breath, all right, if your breath is blowing out all of the it's cold air, smoking, all that kind of stuff. If you opening up stuff and water is instantly freezing, or condensation is instantly freezing, or you see the barren landscape of nothing but just ice and just ice. How you guys walking around with no earmuffs on, no scarves, no face mask, no face protection, your skin just exposed, it ain't even red, no frostbite, nothing. I always wonder about how they do that in these particular episodes in the movies. But anyway, they beam down to the world, man. When I say they, you have Captain Pike, you have Cadet, well, Ensign Uhura now, because she, as well as a couple of other people, got some promotions and everything like that. It's the end of Uhura's tenure as a cadet. All right, so Ensign Uhura is down there. Lieutenant La'an went. We have the newly promoted ensign. I forget what his name is. He's a lieutenant now, but he's newly promoted. Get him there. We have Hammer there. We have Lieutenant Kirk, and of course we have Spock. Now, oh yeah, and Nurse Chapel. So we got a few people. Now the thing is, when they beam down to this planet, they start. Of course they know life signs and everything like that, and the on comes across the first mutilated body, and so now the plot kicks off. What then mutilated this body? What's going on? Now, the thing is, in this episode, there's a few things that I have questions about, and there's a few things that I thought were done well. So let's talk about the things that I thought were done well. Now, what was done well was the suspense that they put into this episode. For the short run time that it had, it covered a lot. And some of the drawbacks to other movies and things like that this episode reminded me of, it would be things like Alien, or things along those lines. All right, Aliens. We got the almost like a Predator. We have that vibe that's going on. That claustrophobic, stuck on a ship, man. There's some things running around there. You can't really go out, do nothing. You got to devise a plan type of situation. Now, we get to see Baby Gorn, the hatchlings, and I swear that's where I got the alien vibe from. But it was well done. Like, we find out, okay, I've said this in other videos too. If you're gonna expand upon uh, characters or species or ideas in Star Trek, all right, do it in a way that, one, sticks to canon, or expands upon it, grows another element to it that still makes sense within the context of them. You know what I mean. So um, to have we always heard about Gorn hatcheries and everything like that, and I assumed that the Gorn were hatched from eggs, and they put these people on the planet to basically be their food source. All right, like basically when a bird puts some prey inside his nest for its no hatchings. But that's not how it goes at all, man. Come to find out, man, that the Gorn could spray this like incapacitating venom stuff on you that's also holds the building blocks of their embryos and everything like this, so you can't even get spit on by these things, man. You infected. Depending on the type of species you are, it has a different gestation period. Um, the Gorn that are born from different species have some basis of that species genetics. So that's what I mean. Alien, the xenomorph, same principle. So we find out, man, that this is going on the ship. All right. Everybody ran outside, and that was another thing that reminded me of too. When we found out that everybody had left the ship, went into the cold, and uh, Hammer gave that explanation that well, maybe they got out there and they got turned around in a weather with the storm and everything, couldn't find their way back to the ship. It reminded me of that real famous camping story that happened, I think, over in Russia or something like that, where those people left their tent and everything like that, left all of their cold weather gear and everything, and they found like clothing and everything everywhere, and those people were killed, and under these weird circumstances that they can't really figure out what happened. It kind of seemed like that was something, an element that they put into this story as well, and it was very well written in there. Now everybody gets on the ship, man. Kind of find out that the Gorn is busting out of people, and we find that this little girl, Newt. I'm sorry, not Newt. We find out it's a little girl who's been surviving on this ship, man, in these circumstances for a while. La'an kind of connects with her, through Dr. Mbenga trying to be like, yo, she's basically been through the same thing you have. You should be there for her, like nobody was there with you, and look how you grew out of it. She needs to see that. And her homie, man, the alien dude, I know he was there kind of for cannon fodder to move the plot along, but he seemed like a really interesting species, and I would have liked to have known where he was from or a little bit more about him. But I always say, man, the galaxy is big, so it's totally fine running across a species that you have never seen before and probably will never see again. Now, but he's the one that busts out of all that, yeah. And the thing is this: they depict the Gorn hatchlings to be so territorial, so predatory, so predacious that they eat their siblings, basically, their hatchlings. Now, this is the thing. We know that the Gorn is a space-faring species. They have ships, they have technology. To do those things, you have to have a social construct, okay? Some type of means for people to work together to accomplish the science behind this, to accomplish the language, to accomplish the teamwork necessary or the social structure necessary to become a civilization of that level. And based on how they were portrayed as embryos, as baby Gorn, I don't see how that was possible. You know what I mean? I seen no intelligence from them. They said that they, even as baby Gorn, they're intelligent. But if you are excitable because somebody challenges you, that's kind of weird, man. And you're killing the people who can help you out, because if they had worked together, the away team would have been annihilated. Like, it even went into how durable the Gorn are, even as hatchlings, before they even full adult. I'm glad that I mentioned that if they let that alpha become a full adult, they not gonna be able to do nothing. Like, and I'm curious, when the Gorn finally go through their final molting, do they become slow and lumbering and all that kind of stuff? Do they lose their speed? So I wonder if they're ever going to depict an adult Gorn, and if they do, how will that work out? And that being said, were those adolescent Gorns in Enterprise, in that episode of Enterprise, like, I got a lot of questions that surrounding what they're doing, but I like the fact still that they're trying to do something with the Gorn, which I always say is one of the most famous unknown species in Star Trek. Now, moving on with the episode, they basically everybody gets together, man, and they trying to figure out how to set a trap for the Gorn. They want to set a booby trap. They want to set a Gorn trap for the Gorn. All right, because ain't no boobies on the ship trying to kill everybody. It's Gorn, so it's Gorn traps. Now, the thing is, um, Hammer, man, he gets sprayed, man. He gets sprayed. Look, why couldn't Hammer? He doesn't need to see these things. He should be able. Now I know he said that these guys are able to telepathically cloak themselves as well, not only just cloak themselves from scanners, which keeps the canon, but he should still be able to feel them. What do you mean by feel them, Canon? What do you mean by that? Remember when Spock threw that carrot and Hammer caught it? You know, he had almost. They depicted him as having almost a sixth sense when it came to his telepathy and his senses. All right, they should have kept with that. They should have kept with that. Now, Lieutenant Kirk. Samuel Kirk. How did they how did they convey Samuel Kirk in this episode? First, we don't know too much about Samuel Kirk. But from the things we do know of Samuel Kirk, from the from the one time that he was mentioned in the original series and the other time that he was actually shown in the original series, let's go with that. When they found him on, I think it was Operation Annihilate, or the Immunity Syndrome. It was one of those two episodes. I put it right here. But when they found him, man, he was in the middle of the street, man, like he was fighting, man. They said he was a fighter, and to have him acting cowardly or rattled like he was in this episode, I don't see anybody from Kirk's family, doing that, you know what I mean, or behaving that way. The way that he talked to Spock was reminiscent of something Bones would say. Lieutenant Kirk ain't got that kind of relationship with Spock. You know what I mean? And if he did, we've never been led to believe that he does. Speaking of Spock, Spock turned off his logic center to embrace emotion, anger, so that he could tempt the Gorn to face some. Let me repeat that. Vulcan, Spock, turned off his emotional center, that which makes him who he is, all right, so that he could have the rage to coax a Gorn out so that he could face him. Then he had trouble putting it back. Super easy for him to let it out. Terrible for him to put it back. And I'm going to call him Tempest Spock. This is the first time we ever seen Tempest Spock outside of Ponfar or outside of a flower spraying some type of pheromone at him, or some type of time traveling situation which caused him to revert back to his old Vulcan self, or when he had a virus in him that was making him lose his inhibitions. We've never seen Tempest Spock outside of those situations, but Tempest Spock can exist just by turning off his centers, his center. And I kind of like how they're doing the relationship with Nurse Chapel and Spock, because that just means that she's been thirsty long before the original series and for Spock, but it is consistent with how she feels about Spock and the care that she shows somebody who she's in love with. Think about what was his name from What Little Girls Are Made Of? Corby, right? Roger Corby. Think of the love, all right, that she showed him, all right, even after not seeing him for such a long time, right? And then when you roll down there, he got some sexy robot chick, but you don't even know the robot, but you still showing him his love, right? So, this episode, man, look, we touch on the whole thing where Uhura's trying to leave Starfleet. She's not sure about Stan. We go into a little bit about Uhura's parents being deceased. But, and really, y'all, spoilers. Really, this is a really spoilery part right here. so spoilery part. Man, how they gonna do my boy Hammer, man? Look, it's two people who I've said I'm interested to see how they will conclude their stories. Because in the episode The Cage in Menagerie 1 and 2, the chief engineer was not Hammer. All right, which means at some point Hammer either left the ship or Hammer died. You know what I mean? And he was replaced by the guy who got there before Scotty. All right. Now, at some point, Dr. Mbinga leaves and comes back as well. So I want to know how they handle that. But, man, it says a lot for a character to have only been featured in one season and not even an entire season based on a, 18 to 24 episode seasons that Star Trek is accustomed to having, you know, historically. I was about to say prehistorically. I was about to seem real old. But historically. So in these 9 episodes that Hammer was in, he was able to make such an impression that his death rivaled the impact of the death of Tasha Yar, who, by all accounts, was in about the same amount of episodes, before she was killed by Armistice. So that goes to show the writing, that goes to show the acting, that goes to show the effort that the actor put into that character to make him memorable, so that when this happened, it can have an even more effect on us, as opposed to Lieutenant Kirk or the female who died. I mean, not Lieutenant Kirk, but the newly promoted lieutenant whose name I don't remember, or the lady who, for some strange reason, just stood there while things busting out. Look. If things is busting out of somebody, man, just go ahead and run. Just go ahead and run. Pull a nurse chopper, go ahead and run. Jump on the bio bed, get behind the force field. I don't understand why that's such a problem. You want to sit there and look at it and all this stuff, take pictures and selfies? No. But look at the effect that those two deaths had, as opposed to the death of Hammer. You know what I mean? And his farewell to his crewmates, and especially Uhura, was just so touching. Now, I may not put uh, editing into this. I might just go ahead and call this my bootleg video, because it's been a while since I've been doing my bootleg videos. And I'm going to have to say, man, there's a lot of people who watch, but there's not a lot of people who actually subscribe. So I put a lot of effort. I ain't going to say a lot of effort, man. Y'all know how I do it. If I get around to do it, man, I do it. But we're here for the fun. We're here for the chat. We're here for the camaraderie. You know what I'm saying? I was told that looking at some of my review videos, or some of my videos, period, it's like, sitting down and just having a conversation with somebody. And that's the way that I wanted it to be, ever since the beginning of the channel. So please subscribe to the channel. People, subscribe to the channel. Let me know that what the work I'm doing is having purpose. Let me know that the people coming to class is actually enjoying the class. Hit the like button sometimes. Share the videos, because I know I talk about a lot of things on this channel that a lot of people don't have the perspective to see it as, or maybe haven't really thought about those situations or plots enough to have a truly in-depth talk or conversation or exchange about them. So let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this episode, man. Starfleet funerals always bring a tear to my eye, man. Hammer, you will be missed, dude. I should have worn my Starfleet symbol. I mean, my Starfleet shirt for this, man, because Hammer, you was my dude, dog. But anyway, as always, peace, recycle, save the whales. Be cool.